today's topic is Karam Yoga, right? We said we'll do a couple of sessions of Karam Yoga, one or two, depending on how it goes, and then we'll go back to Gita. So as per our recent practice, who wants to go and start us on the topic of Karam Yoga? Any volunteers? Otherwise, I'll pick one. So
So I think we already had one talk on Karam Yoga already,
that was a long time
and
ago. Yeah.
long time ago. Why whatever you do for the benefit of people. You are not. It's not a self-centric approach. You don't think yourself being the beneficiary. Whatever work you are doing, the beneficiary are others. And whatever you do, you think you are just an instrument of God who is getting all the things done. All the credit goes to God and not to your own personal credit,
Right.
or your personal way of doing. So, and you don't expect any karam phala. You don't expect any fruits. And whatever fruits you get, it's arpan to God.
Yes, it's whatever fruits you get are prasad, and whatever
Prasad,
work
yeah.
you do is arpan to God.
Yeah.
So Ishwar arpan buddhi and
So,
Ishwar prasad buddhi.
prasad buddhi. So then that's the crux of karam yoga, I think.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's more. I want to kind of talk a little bit more around it, like why and
Mhm.
how, what's the logic of it, and all that. But
Mhm.
anything else? Anything else to add to what Sanjay just said, which is totally correct. I mean, he's absolutely right.
Basically, that summarizes it.
That summarizes it.
But is the idea of it to that, that even if you have to work with the idea that the ego is in place, let the ego be in place in that way, in relationship to God. And then it's okay for the ego to be in place. If it's not possible for you to work from the standpoint of the self and you have to work from the standpoint of the ego, then work with this Nishkam Karma attitude from the standpoint of the ego.
Right. The only thing I would say is it's not possible to work from the standpoint of the self.
Yeah.
You're the standpoint of the self, there is no work. If self is a karta, right, is nothing. So you cannot work without agency, without an ego. So, but the question is, what are you thinking? What is your attitude? What is your vision? So, so actually, it's all about your vision. It's about your knowledge and your understanding and your appreciation of the environment around you. That is where Karam Yoga springs from. So, like just to kind of ground us 2 minutes. So this all in the Gita, um, when Arjun is very upset and very sad and realizes that he is in a big dilemma. And the dilemma is that on the one hand, he has to, do his duty as a warrior to uphold dharma. But in order to do so, he'll have to kill the very people that he has grown up with, that he loves. Literally his grandfather, his guru. Just imagine, what it is like if you have to actually, you're in a position and you have to kill these people. So he doesn't know what is right. And he realizes that part of it is he understands then that this is samsara, that it is his affections which are coming in his way. And it is he has lost objectivity. He doesn't know what to do. So he reaches out to Bhagwan Krishna. By the way, that is, called Sharanagati, just so you know, which means Bhagwan Krishna knew Arjun all along, but he started teaching only when Arjun asked him. So that's an important step in the teaching. So Krishna, actually, they say in the Gita that Arjun asked him, make me your Shishya. And then Bhagwan Krishna smiled and started telling. But when Arjun went to Bhagwan Krishna, he was you could say a mumukshu. That means he wanted freedom from sansar. He wanted some release. That is mumukshu, a desire of freedom. But Bhagwan, what did he say? The first thing he said to him was that you are the Atma. Everybody else is the Atma. So he gave him a summary of the Gyan of the Gita. And he told him, know this Atma. That is the salvation. Know yourself. So then what is happening, which is the second step, an important step, is he converted Arjun from a mokshu to a jigyasu. Jigyasu means a person who wants to know. So hopefully, all of you are jigyasus in some sense or the other, because you all want to know what your Atma is, what Brahman is, and all that. So far Arjun was fine. Then he asked Bhagwan, what should I do? And Bhagwan said, go fight your war, do your duty, be a Karam yogi. And that really confused Arjun, as would confuse probably all of you if you start thinking about it. That on the one hand, we say you need to be knowing the answer is in knowledge. So know yourself. And then we say, do work. Why not? Arjun said, why not I renounce all this useless samsara and focus on study of myself under a good guru and just do that. Why do I have to do work? And Bhagwan Krishna then explained to him, and that is Karam Yoga. He said that in order for you to get that knowledge, you need to have what's called a prasanna buddhi. A prasanna buddhi means a contented mind, a mind which is happy in itself. Till you have a prasanna buddhi and a contented mind, you can't really hope to get knowledge. Now, there are some people who are born with a contented mind, but that is very, very rare. Generally speaking, our first job is to make sure that we are prepared for this knowledge. That means if we are not, we have a handle on the raga and the dveshas, on the issues that we deal with on our life. We need to have a handle on them, because only then we'll have space in our mind to have knowledge. So he said, Karam Yoga is very, very important. You have to do that in order to make progress spiritually. You have to do both, but this is a very big part of it. So Gita, if you see, a large percentage of Gita is spent on Karam Yoga. More than 50%, I would say, is spent on Karam Yoga. So then, in the next chapters and all, Bhagwan started describing what Karam Yoga is. And he called Karam Yoga Buddhir Yoga. So Buddhir Yoga means, Buddhi means in this context, Buddhi means having the right vision, having the right understanding. That is Buddhi. But the vision and understanding of what? For Karam Yoga, it's not the vision and understanding of you being Atma. It's the vision and understanding of the Vyavharika world that we live in. So it's the vision and understanding of what is this cosmos in which we are interacting and living all the time, which is also, by the way, called Ishwar. So Vedanta, when you're doing all this, you can think about Ishwar in two ways. One is to think about it as the cosmos, or you can think about Ishwar as a form, as Krishna Bhagwan or Shivji or whatever. Doesn't matter as long as you have the right attitude. So what is this vision, or what is this understanding on which Karam Yoga is based? It's an understanding of the relationship between me as an individual and this world that I live in. So what Gita is beautiful in this, it talks about this. It says that this world has order. It's a chakra. And Swami Dayanand explained this in a very nice way. He said, if you look around you, this world has order. Everywhere there is order. There's a method. Because there's an order, that's why we can study. We can, like, for example, to a physicist, that order manifests itself in how the motion of the stars and the galaxies. There is order there. You can study it. You may not know all the order. It may be much more intricate than we think right now. But there is a method there. There's an order. I mean, we live because there's an order. There is an order on how we think. Sanjay can be a doctor because there's an order to how the body behaves. All bodies behave like that. Generally speaking, there's an order. And there's a social order, which we have set up, or which not even we have set up. Let's say God has set up. The social order exists in all animals also, in how societies live. But everywhere around you, there's order. So if you look at, the smallest thing, you look at a plant and how it grows into a flower and the beauty of a leaf, a blade of grass, all that is an orderly expression. So from the biggest to the smallest, there's order. And this order is what's called intelligence. There are laws, right? I mean, nature follows laws. As human beings, we are trying to understand these laws so that we can, better understand nature, better understand ourselves. But these laws exist. We didn't make these laws. They're there. So that's the first thing to understand, that in this cosmos around us, there is order. And you can call that order Ishwar. You can either, so the whole world is just an expression of these laws. It's a manifestation of these laws. So you can either call Ishwar as the law itself, which is the unmanifest universe, or you can call this whole manifest thing as Ishwar. It doesn't matter, depending on whatever you find comfortable. But basically, you have to start saying that there's a system around you. And you have to start appreciating the fact that the system is operating without you. It's operating because of its own intelligence. So that's the first thing, which is an appreciation of Ishwar. And when you start appreciating it this way, really spend time on it and really understand it objectively, you will develop a reverence for this system. So if you don't want to make it so impersonal, you can think about it as a God, as that God has done all this. God as that figure has done all this. And then you develop reverence for God. Again, it doesn't matter, but that attitude of reverence is a key. The second thing that you have to understand is that you are part of that system. Everything in you is part of that system. And it has been, whatever you see yourself has been given by the system. So your body is very much, the chemicals which compose your body came from this world. Your thoughts, your mind, the subtle matter that composes your mind came from this system. All the things that you are so proud of, the capabilities that you have, the possessions that you have, the circumstances in which you are growing, they all came from the system. They're all given to you. And you have to truly understand that. Because that is what it is. That's an objective understanding. If your ego doesn't interfere, and your desire to kind of express your ego doesn't interfere, which means you're objective, you will see this very clearly. That everything is given to you. And the third thing is that if you can take action because you can't, that's the third, which you cannot live without action. Action is an intrinsic part, or karma is an intrinsic part of the system. Everything is moving and changing all the time. So Gita says very nicely in a shlok, it says, you think that, you're not acting, but even when you're sleeping, you're acting, you're breathing, you're digesting your food, all that is going on. You cannot not act. So action is taking place all the time. And that is your role in the system. So the actions that you do are a contribution into the system. It's the actions of all little actors like you, living and non-living, which constitute this system. So whatever you're doing is a contribution or an offering into the system, Ishwar Arpan. And the results are not in your hand because it's the system that's producing the results. And those results come forth. And that is why, you see, in your mind, we will always tend to see how our action has produced a particular result. We make a much bigger correlation between what we have done and the result than actually is there. In reality, the results are produced by the system. So if you can, this is the attitude that you need. This is what is called Buddhir Yoga. So if you have this attitude, this understanding, an objective attitude, not based on some faith or based on some, something which has been said, ये अच्छी बात है, ये बुरी बात है, भगवान को करो, जरूर करो, but why? Because that is a fact. So this understanding this fact, then you act, and then your actions are going to be that of a Karam Yogi. It's just a natural consequence of this understanding. If you're acting with an understanding that you're the doer, you have to succeed, what you do is going to make a, like, it's all about you. If that is the attitude with which you act, then you're not a Karam Yogi. If the attitude with which you act is that you are with an appreciation of the system, that you are making a contribution into the system and the system produces results, there's nothing you can do really about the results there. It's not in your hand. But you can act. That agency you have, you can act. Then you will act based on what you want to do, not on something that you're being compelled to do. That's called Swadharma. You will follow your Swadharma. You'll do what you want to do, what you feel you're right, what is right for you. Because everybody in the system does what is right for them, and the system works. Even the Rakshas, even the worst of the human beings, they do what they are designed to do. Even the, like, animals kill. They're not bad. This is what they're designed to do. So the system works. You do what you're designed to do.
Can I ask something, Nittu? Sorry.
Yeah.
Or should I wait until later?
No. I mean, I think I'm pretty much, this is what I wanted to say. Yeah, that's okay.
So the system also includes our egos and our subjective minds.
Yeah, of course.
So that's part of,
Yeah, it's understood.
Yeah. But that what I mean is that then the fact that we act from our ego with, maybe a non-objective mind is also part of how
Yeah,
the system
absolutely. No,
is created.
nobody's blaming you for acting out of your ego from a
Not
non-objective mind.
blaming. Mhm.
No, I'm saying nobody's saying that is wrong. That is
Mhm.
based on ignorance. And the fact that you have ignorance is coming from the system.
Mm.
There's nothing, the fact that you are now seeking to do something different is also coming from the system.
Mm.
There's nothing, there's not like you should not be feeling some, like, my opinion. Gita will say you should consider yourself special, but I don't think so.
No, I'm not feeling one way or
No,
the other.
I'm
I'm
not
just
talking to you. I'm just
asking, like,
responding to the
what?
question to everybody.
Yeah. I was just saying, so then Karam Yog means being more aligned to the reality of
Yes, yeah,
the system.
right. Being aware of the system, being aligned with the reality of the system, and being knowledgeable. So people who think that they are the ones who are producing results, and they are the ones who are going to make all this difference in the world, they are working out of ignorance. And those who understand the reality and have this attitude of Karam Yogi are working out of knowledge. And when you work out of knowledge, there is no negative stress and pressure in your mind. You are happy. When you're going against the system, then there is stress. So when you work out of ignorance, why is there stress? You think you're responsible, and things are not happening the way that you thought they are happening. Then you get stressed because you can't, like, the part of you is saying, no, you're responsible, you should do it. Things are not happening the way it is. So there is the model that you built in your mind is under pressure. It's not working. You'll start blaming yourself. That is stress. But if you know that, if you're going along with the flow, then there is no stress. Like in engineering, we used to have this concept, Rajiv will probably remember, that if you have a block of wood and you apply a force to it, two things can happen because of that force. Either it will be induced into uniform motion with an not uniform motion, accelerated motion. F is equal to ma. So either it will move, or if it cannot move, there will be stress. So the body will be under stress. And after a particular time, once the tensile strength of the body has been exceeded, it will break. So only two things can happen when you apply force. So if you are aligned with the system, then you will be happy, you'll be content. And if you're not, you'll have stress. So when you have stress in yourself, the question is to see where is the lack of alignment. What assumptions are you making which are not true with the reality of this world? So Karam Yoga is a way in which God is teaching us, or Bhagwan Krishna has taught us, or Vedanta is teaching us to be aligned with the reality of this world. So that's why it's called Buddhi Yoga. That means, understand the system in which you are, understand the reality of that system, and act according to that reality. And then you'll have less stress. And then when you have less stress, you can increase your mind is available for what you really want to do, as opposed to dealing with the stress all the time. Otherwise, you're just dealing with stress. There's no, you're not available. So when you are available, then you can, if it is Vedanta that you want to study, you can study Vedanta. If it's something else you want to do, you can do that. You can follow your Swadharma. You can the life is very different. So then what are the, let me just finish by saying, what are the lakshans of a Karam Yogi? What does a Karam Yogi look like? So Karam Yogi, number one, is very productive. Always constantly doing something or the other. Very productive. If you look at examples of, say, Swami Dayanand, who's our teacher, a Karam Yogi, right? He was extremely productive. I mean, he started, I don't know how many centers now all over the world for Vedanta, because that is what he wanted to do. So he started them. But Carol tells us how he used to do that, because he used to, he was not stressed at any time. And because he was not stressed, he was able to make good decisions. He was able to delegate. He was able to trust people. And they ran with it. That is how you scale up anyway, right? You have to trust. So that's one of the things about Karam Yogi, is they're very, very productive. And the second is that they are content. While they are productive, they're also content. They're not like restless all the time. They're not beating themselves up or beating others up. They seem to be aligned and in place in this world. They are not like at odds with this world. They're happy where they are in the world. That is, the two signs of a Karam Yogi. Outward sign. Inside a Karam Yogi's mind is also very simple, It's a Ishwar Arpan and Ishwar Prasad. That's the mechanism inside the mind. But the outward appearance of a Karam Yogi is that. So that's Karam Yoga. A very high level. I mean, does that make sense to you guys? Do you think that this is in touch with reality, or do you think this is impractical?
It's not impractical, but like it takes time for you to get into that
Mode.
mode all the time. Like you might remember sometime, you may not remember it at other times. So like
It's not easy.
yeah,
Is it desirable though?
you are so much involved in the world. Yeah, definitely.
But Dheeraj, my practical experience is it is not that difficult also once you tune your mind to that frequency. Once you become a bit aware, it's not that too difficult.
Yeah. What do you think?
My view is we are, I always go back and look at, my upbringing and all, and, what we learned when we came into this world, right? Uh, to me, it feels like society produces or, puts so much burden on you to be selfish and successful. I mean, those things, get ingrained in you, that then you sort of create this distance in terms of what you're calling karma yoga, right? So to me, I think it's a reset of trying to understand the physical world or the phenomenal world and the role you have to play. I mean, your analogy about the forces and a piece of wood, I mean, just amazing, that when you look back at it, it's all self-created. If you just flip and just think about it, like you mentioned, I mean, you can just see how relaxed you would be, right?
Yeah.
We are all taught to be very result oriented, and we are taught to be, okay, you are the primary contributor to a result that needs to be produced, right? It goes through you, right? Nobody teaches you that, okay, you try your best to your ability and leave the results to whatever they may be, or what the natural laws or order.
Thank you.
um,
Sorry. My son.
yeah, so what the natural order will return to you, and be happy and content with that. I mean, that's, to me, I'm already, feeling good because I can live with that now, right? uh, so anyway, I think it's very simple, but yet it's very complex to execute
Yeah.
on.
Yes, it's very simple and it's very complex. And all the things that you mentioned, the pressure when we were young, all this, that is samsara. This is all part of samsara. We've lived through samsara and we've lived through ignorance. We have been that block of wood which is tried to resist. And now we are feeling the stress. And we are saying, you know what? I'm done with this stress. So then you're saying, okay, is there a way to do something different? And Gita is telling you, yeah, start moving. That's all. And try to see what within you is not right. What is wrong in your vision? And that's all it's saying. So
Okay, so, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, I have not to play devil's advocate, but I'm lacking some understanding, I think.
Okay, yeah.
And what I'm lacking is, it seems to me that we are saying Ishwar Arpan Buddhi and Prasad Buddhi once you realize really things are not in your hands, so you do your best, and obviously from a practical standpoint, things are not in your hand. So you just become more objective about that. But that can also be a sign of, just understanding that that's just how it is. What is so, where does um, the worshipful attitude about Ishwar Arpan Buddhi come through for that? You can be completely you can be completely secular and non religious, and just still say, okay, I through experience I've seen this is how it happens. I make my best effort. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. So if I have to be happy, I'll go along with,
Yeah, but that's you can do that, absolutely. I mean, if that works for you, but that's just a symptom. Like, why is it like that? If you just want to leave it at that and say, okay, there's this black box called the world, and with that black box, when I do something, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, I'm okay with it. Then you're not really, that's fine. But you're not inquiring, why is that happening? Right? What is this black box all about?
Yeah.
Right? So it's, at this point, you can say, I'm happy. I'll just say sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But at some stage, you'll say,
Yeah.
I
That's
need more.
That's right.
Right?
That's
So Vedanta is a philosophy. It's trying to delve deep into these things. It's not saying just only do this. It's
But
not
I'm saying, so
saying
then
just,
you have to bring in Vedanta, right? Right now, we weren't talking about Vedanta.
no,
We
of
just
course
talking
we're
about
talking about
Karam
this is
Yoga.
all Vedanta, Kiki.
No, but Nitu, I thought that Karam Yoga you were saying was well within just the realm of Vyavharika Satyam. So
So
Karam
Vyavharika
Yoga
Satyam is
not?
Vedanta.
Yeah, but Karam Yoga works for people who are not, like, the majority of Anyway, I was trying to understand what I'm missing about Karam Yoga. I
No,
thought
no,
maybe.
no. So no. Don't, let's not say that Karam Yoga is not Vedanta. So Karam Yoga is the transition. Only people who are sick of samsara and want to step away from samsara will be Karam Yogis. Only a mumukshu will be a Karam Yogi, true Karam Yogi. Because if you're in samsara, then you're in samsara. Then even your relationship with God is a samsari relationship. You're saying to God, God, I will pray for you. You give me this. You know, I want to I want to succeed, pass my examination in first division. So I'll go to mandir and pray. So God, I'll pray for you. Please, can you give me, this karam phala? Yeah, that's not karam yogi. That's a relationship with God which is very transactional, or not even transactional. It's fine. It's any relationship with God is fine. But you're asking God for a material benefit. That's not karam yoga. Karam yoga is when you realize that this material benefit is not what you need. What you need is uh, contentment, space in the mind, so that you can do other things. What you want is shanti. Just because you go to God and pray and to give me the result, it doesn't mean that you will be a happier person. You're finding God is just one more agency for getting your material benefits. So you'll have to do multiple things. You'll have to study. You'll have to be stressed studying. Then you go to God also. Oh, that also I have to do. I forgot to go to the mandir, or I have to go there, right? So that's not it. That is
So
a
you're saying, so you're saying Karam Yoga is makes sense only as a tool for Antakarna Shuddhi, but not in and of itself for a samsari who's not a mumukshu.
I mean, you can do all the things. You can advise the samsari also to understand that even the samsari understands that everything doesn't happen the way I want to. This is not a huge insight, right?
Exactly. That's where I started, right?
Yeah. So we are not saying that just this understanding that when I try 50% of the time I succeed, 50% I fail. That is not Karam Yoga. Karam Yoga is saying that is just a piece of knowledge. Karam Yoga is saying, I don't care whether I fail or whether I pass or succeed. I don't care.
Yeah.
I only care to do the right thing. That is Karam Yoga. That's not a samsari. A samsari won't do that.
Yeah.
For samsari cares deeply what happens. Samsari cares for
Okay, my interpretation. My interpretation is there are two type of Karam Yogis. One is a samsaric Karam Yogi, which we all are, and there is a Vedantic Karam Yogi. Through knowledge, we have to shift from a samsari Karam Yogi to a Vedantic Karam Yogi.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Up
What
till
is
now,
samsari
we
Karam
were a
Yogi?
samsari
I mean,
Karam
what does
Yogi.
samsari
Now
Karam
we have
Yogi
to
mean?
shift from that Karam Yogi to a Vedantic.
What do you mean by
Karam
samsaric
Yogi.
Karam Yogi? I mean, honestly, like, what is that?
Samsaric Karam Yogi is वही है ना कि we have to do this, the success, the complexity which we have created in our minds by our parents, teachers. We have to attain this thing. We have to have that social status.
See, that's not a Karam Yogi.
Financial status, financial standing, and work towards that.
That is not a Karam Yogi. That's a Karmi.
That's why.
I mean, let's get the terminology right.
That's a typical samsaric Karam Yogi. He's doing Karam Yoga to attain all that.
He's not doing Karam Yoga. He's just doing Karam.
He's doing Karam. Yeah.
So that's not a Karam Yogi. You're calling somebody a yogi. A yogi is a very specific term. Should not use it lightly. Okay. So when you say sannyas yoga, that is why this Karam Yoga is so important and such a peculiar thing also. Because when you think about yoga, you don't think about working in the world.
Okay, we can put it like that.
जो योगी होते हैं,
samsaric karam ayogi.
Well, samsari karam samsari, right? See, karam everybody will do. Whether you're a yogi, karam yogi, samsari, jnani, you cannot avoid karam. Karam is being done. But when the karam is being done and you are doing the karam with an expectation of return, a material return, then you are a samsari. That process where you think you have in your mind, you've built a loop, a model, which says, I will do this, I will get a return. That return is important. If I fail, I will do it a different way. But you're focused completely on the return, on that material return. That loop is a samsari loop. The more you seek after these returns, the more you get attached to them, the more they drive your work. You forget about dharma, you forget about adharma, you just do what is needed to get that particular return. That is samsari. Karam, everybody does. On the other hand, is a jnani. A jnani is a person who knows I'm not the one who's working. This work is being done by the body and the mind. I am the Atma. So a jnani is a spontaneous karam yogi. He knows he's a karmi. There's nothing, a jnani doesn't need any tool, nothing. That's the other end. But this group, is not yet a jnani, if I can call it that. I mean, although these are all terms. You're not a jnani because you're not convinced that you are Atma. Right? So if that is the case, when you're not convinced that you're Atma, and somebody just keeps telling you, no, you're Atma, it's not going to work. You know, you're in a position where you know samsara is not working. There is something more than samsara. I want a satisfaction and contentment which I'm not getting from samsara. You know also that the Upanishads and other things are telling you that ultimately I'm the Atma. But you're not convinced. You can't make the jump from where you are to the Atma. That's because you're not ready. So what do? You do Karam Yoga. That means you still consider yourself as a separate individual. When you're a Karam Yogi thinks he's a separate individual, right? He doesn't think that he's Atma only. You are a separate individual who's working in this world. You are part of this world. You're dealing with the pressures of this world. This particular individual, when dealing with the world, now deals differently. Because Vedanta is now giving you a Vyavaharika vision. The Vyavaharika vision of Vedanta is that there is this system around you, there's a cosmic order around you, which you can call Ishwar. This has, and you can see for yourself that there is order there. There are laws there. There is change there. There's activity there. And if you start appreciating all this and appreciating your role in this system, then it becomes a little easier for you to say, okay. And then there's a technique. God has given you a technique, which is continue doing the work you have to do, which you feel you must do. Doesn't matter if you feel you are the doer, that's fine. But do it with an attitude where you're giving this as a contribution to your work, as a contribution to the system, and what you're receiving back is a prasad. That it really doesn't matter, because you should know by now that it really doesn't matter whether you succeed or not, whether you fail or not, as long as you know you've tried your best. And you'll see that it's not like theoretical. You can see in your own life. You will feel, just like Sanjay said, it's not that difficult anymore. It's definitely less difficult than it would have been 10 years ago, when you didn't have this vision, didn't have this knowledge at all. So that is Karam Yoga, that it's in between a samsari and a jnani, but it is very much Vedant. I don't want us to think it's not Vedant, but it's based on karmas, on an understanding of karmas, which is not really Vedant, right? It's a mixture. Vedant says all this karam sharam don't exist. They're all mithya. That's okay. But Vedanta also goes into this mithya world and says, okay, here's a pathway to draw you from the mithya to the satyam. But in reality, actually, I personally feel that this Karam Yoga for most of us is really valuable, is really more useful than just intellectual understanding of Brahman. That's my feeling. or my experience.
I have one conflict in my mind, Dheeraj. Maybe you can help here. So I was also reading a little bit about Viragya,
Yeah,
which is, separation from the phenomenal world, in terms of, there is a component of duties or dharmas, right, and relinquish that, right. So how does this intersect with karma yoga now, which is saying, yeah, continue doing, the actions you need to take, but just shift the fulcrum and why you are doing it, right? So
right.
one is talking about receding away from your karmas or duties, right, which is viragya, component of viragya, right? Whereas here it says, no, 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 just continue, doing it, but change the way you see your actions that you're doing, or remove the personal benefit angle, do it and let the world, or the order in the world kind of give you whatever it wants to give you as a result.
Yeah. No. So that is I mean, if I may say so, that's an incorrect understanding of Vairagya. Okay.
Okay.
Because Vairagya is exactly Karma Yoga. So
Mm.
what Vairagya means is the ability to see things objectively and not superimpose um, your subjective values on a set of things.
Mhm.
So, for example, if let's say there is money, and you have a conception of money, now Vairagya would not say money is bad. Vairagya would say, understand objectively the value of money. The value of money is that it gives you food, it allows you ability for leisure. Now, if I had no money, I would not be able to have this conversation with you. I'd be just working away right now. I won't have time. I won't have the leisure time to study. So there's a value to this money. Another value to the money is you can help people around you. So these are all values to the money. When you superimpose on that a value which says, I need money to make me happy, that's a subjective superimposition, which your mind has made because of your ignorance. That is the lack of Vairagya. Vairagya means seeing things as they are. Viveka and Vairagya. So a person who's a Vairagi will not shy away or move away from the world. Because moving away from the world is definitely not Vairagya. That is just a childish emotional reaction to the hurts and pains of this world. Like Arjun was saying.
Mm.
Arjun was saying, वो इतना दुखी था, he said, मैं जाके संन्यास ले रहा हूँ. Right? And what did Krishna Bhagavan? I said, no, don't. That is not what you have to do. You have to fight. Because that's like a child, who's saying, I got hurt, I'm going back. I'm just stepping away. That's not Vairagya. That's basically another superimposition. You're now superimposing the ability of the world to hurt you, which is also your superimposition. The world has neither the ability to please you nor to hurt you. If you think the world has the ability to hurt you, that is your superimposition, that will make you go away from the world. If you think that the world has the ability to please you, that is your superimposition, that will make you go closer towards, like to the world. Detachment means knowing that the world can neither hurt me nor help me, but it has value. It is Ishwar at the end of the day. The world is Ishwar. So Karam Yogi says, my reaction to the world, my attitude to the world is reverential. So how can a person who has a reverential attitude towards the world run away from the world or renounce this world? It doesn't make sense. So for you,
That's very. I'm glad I asked the question, because I think you removed the orthogonality there now. Yeah.
yeah. So and why? And this reverential attitude is not because my mother told me that you should always pray to God, or because some books say that look at this world as Ishwar. You can say, okay, that's a reason for a reverential attitude. That's okay, if that is all you can think about. But Vedanta is saying, think further. The reverential attitude should be based on fact, should be based on an objective assessment of what really is.
What really? Yeah.
So what really is that in this cosmos, there is order. There is a lot of capability. And you yourself have been produced by this cosmos. When you really, really appreciate it, when you take the time to appreciate it and remember to appreciate it, you cannot help but have a reverential attitude. That's what Karma Yoga is. So Karma Yoga and Bhakti are two sides of the same coin. At the end of the day, it's about reverential attitude towards the objective, fact-based, reverential attitude towards the world around you, and your behavior, which is in line with that understanding. That is Karma Yoga.
I think yeah, the lesson is not to think that you got to take a sannyas or something, right? To really get to
absolutely.
reality. Yeah.
Because all you're doing then is just shoving your
Avoiding
under the carpet. They will surface out again. The problem is not that you're too close to the world. The problem is that your internal model of the world is wrong. It's based on ignorance. You have to change that model.
Damn, this ignorance is everywhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And when you say the world and the order of the world, of course, there's the physical laws at the macro and the micro scale, but then that order also includes the psychological order in human beings' minds. But that means it also includes not just all the amazing things in the world, but the really grotesque and awful things in the world. And in order to have a reverential attitude towards that, again, it's necessary then, I guess, to have that knowledge that your inner peace is not impacted by that. Is that right?
I mean, I'll flip the cause and effect, but yeah, it's right.
But yeah, I think for me, it's always when I used to ask Carol, that to have a reverential attitude, it's important for me to then keep in mind not just the wonderful things, but the truly awful things.
Well, because the reverential attitude that you're talking about seems to be based on feelings.
Yeah.
You have to base it on fact, on objective fact.
Well, but feeling and fact are not so. I mean, you always draw a hard red line between them.
No, okay, sorry. I don't mean to draw a hard red line, but I'm saying if it's feeling which is not based on which doesn't have data or logic or fact with it, that is not right. So I'm not saying you should not have feeling. I'm saying that you should have fact too. So reverence is, so if you say, like, the fact that you're saying that I think what you're saying in a way is, I can have a reverential attitude towards something which is noble and something which is good. But I can't have a reverential attitude towards something.
I think we should. Yeah. That's what I was trying to. I was just trying to highlight.
I mean,
that
can you have a
have
reverential attitude towards Donald Trump?
Yeah.
No.
No,
right?
no, not towards Donald Trump, but the order that has brought all of it around, like to have some space.
No, I'm saying towards Donald Trump also, because Donald Trump and the order are not two separate things.
Yes, and
Donald Trump is a manifestation of that order.
Yes.
Right. So why is that? Because what Vedanta tells you is you should have a reverential attitude towards Ravan also, towards everybody. And that may seem very harsh and very jarring right now, but that's a thing to examine.
Yeah, but I am actually curious, because this is kind of where I was heading, is how do you view that? How do you view reverence when you think of, for instance, Trump or whoever, Ravan, or what does that mean?
I mean, reverence means an appreciation, a respect. Like, I mean, I'm not sure I follow.
So in that context, the respect will be towards just the world order that has, towards just the world that has all of these characters, everything, this entire story, like that, you mean? Like the
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Towards this world which is everything.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you ask me personally, I wonder why Donald Trump, for example. I mean, I don't want to poor guy. I don't want him to. I don't want to take.
It's okay.
Let's
He's
take
a good
any.
example.
Let's just
Yeah.
take any example. No, it's
Yeah.
not. It may be a good example for this group here, but if there was a Republican in the group, it probably they would wonder what is wrong with him. I'm very reverential towards Donald Trump. So, I mean, like, the point is, if you find someone who, if you find something which is affecting you deeply in a positive way, you don't even think about it. Oh, that's a great thing. All the feelings of goodness are there in me, so
Right.
much gratitude,
Right.
so much love, right? But you should think about it. And when you think about somebody or something which is not so positive, which is evoking negative feelings of hate and all of that within you, then you should stop and think why.
Mm.
What is it? Because you're not detached at that point.
Yeah.
You're responding, and you're actually not detached also in the former.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
When you are thinking, so stop and think, why is that? And what is it in your frame of thinking which is making you respond like this? I mean, if you want to. If you don't want to, that is fine too.
No,
Because
no,
I don't
that's
want to sort of,
exactly
my
why
problem
I
with this
brought up
whole
the
thing is,
question.
I know, but I don't want to be giving you advice. That's my problem. That's
It's
my
not advice. It's not advice. It's you yourself had said. I was just bringing this up as an example to what you said, which is that when you realize that the world is not should not impact you positively or negatively. That was the question that Rajiv had brought up, right? About Vairagya. So saying like this is in keeping, anyway, with that.
okay. Yeah, the problem with all this is that, you know, I think we have to use our own intelligence. That's where I get down to. I can give you all these pieces of knowledge, which are not my pieces of knowledge. These are pieces of knowledge coming from Vedanta. But at the end of the day, there is no getting around to using your own intelligence to figure out what is right for you. And as long as you guys are all doing that, using your own intelligence to see your own circumstances, to see what is right for you, I'm very happy continuing like this to give advice, to talk about all this too. But please do use that. This is one of the tenets of Vedanta also, which is use your intelligence. Because what you'll find now as you're getting more and more exposed, and I've been finding that for sure, is that there are so many different versions of things. And there are so many teachers, and there are so many gurus. It's very easy to get completely submerged by all this. So
So
very important to develop your own perspective.
as a Karam yogi, you will also do your best to impart knowledge and not worry so much whether, we are using our own, right?
That's a good 360.
I know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel too much attachment to this group. Any other thoughts?
No, I was saying, what I said was, when I said that it's difficult, I mean is that we have been right from birth. We are so conditioned to work or act or, transact in the worldly ways, in that Vyavaharika thing, that now after 60 years, Like, to break that conditioning, it takes time.
Yes, absolutely.
It's just that. It's not, I mean, you get up in the morning and you just, I mean, whatever you do, you just start with the worldly things only, and you forget that you should be a part of whatever you're doing. It should be part of your karam yoga. You do the karma, but not karam yoga.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I totally agree. It's not easy.
Yeah, I find it, I mean, sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. I mean, it's a, remember, it's not, it's the, okay, there is some degree of will involved, but it's also a natural
Yeah.
process. You know.
Yeah, naturally, yes. I would say naturally, how you are working, probably that is what your sanskars are and how you have been brought up and how you're working. Maybe you are doing karam yoga without even thinking about it. I mean, if you're doing all the things morally and ethically and uh, not very selfishly, I would say, if when you think of myself, the way we think of this body and mind, then of course you are selfish. ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता कि आप नहीं हो, आप सब कुछ अपने उससे ही करते हो. But slowly, with the, I mean, this exposure to Vedanta and thinking on these terms, of course, changes are coming, and our thinking is changing. We are trying our best. And when we are doing any job also, even if it's in the profession, if you are doing it to the best of your capability and with full dedication, whatever work is allotted to you, I think that is also kind of karma yoga only. If you are not, I mean, doing any unethical practices and getting too much into the result thing, you are doing, फिर जो होगा देखी जाएगी, आप बेस्ट अपने हो, that's it. That's
Yeah,
how I think sometimes.
that's okay. I don't see any harm in that.
So I have a new metric for success, measuring success. It's how much clutter do you have in your mind?
That's a good one, actually.
So,
Because
Dheeraj, I just want to, just compliment you so much in helping us understand all this. But, one of the things or one of the inquiries that I end up doing these days is if any thought comes, whether it's money or whether it's work or something, the first filter that I have are learning to apply is, should I even be worried about this, right? Is it worth is it worth my while, right? Is it only going to clutter my mind, or is it going to just
yeah,
give me satisfaction? And just trying to build that discernment, which I believe I lack. um, yeah.
no, that's a good starting point, I think. You don't need to, simplify your life. That's a good thing. At least I think so. See, I mean, in every respect, you have to create more space for if you are in whatever
Nahi,
you're really interested in.
but we were created for a very simple, straightforward life, which we have, I think, complicated it so much. These complications are, I think, self-created pitfalls we have created for ourselves, and to get out of those is again a complex procedure. Otherwise, I think God and nature created us like very simple human beings. The more simple we live, I think more satisfying and more peaceful we would be.
Yeah.
We have to
So
shift towards simplicity.
we are evolving in the wrong direction then.
No, I see that. That's what I was going to say, that the one thing which I probably have a different perspective than yours is, it's not that God created us in a particular way and then we decided to go in a different way. We are part of the system.
Yeah.
We are not separate from gods that, God wanted this and then we did this, right? That's not a Vedantic perspective.
Hmm.
So God created us and created this world and created ignorance in this world, and God is helping us get out of it. It's not that we are at loggerheads with God. At no point are we at loggerheads with God. At no point. If we feel that we are at loggerheads with God, that is also God's sort of wish, in a way. Think about it like that. And when we feel that we are not at loggerheads with God, which I hope you're feeling now, not at loggerheads with God, that is also part of the thing. So, like Mukta was saying, the 60 years, I would say the lesson from Mundaka Upanishad is, it's not even those 60 years. It is these 60 years of this life, plus many, many lives before that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's why this is so powerful and so hard to break. But it was designed like that. It was designed,
Yeah.
this life was designed in such a way that during this time, not only did you have these ingrained habits, which are hard to break, but you also suffered the pain and all of that, which is going to give you vairagya. Vairagya means which is going to force you to reevaluate how you evaluate the world. So that also is part of the thing. And where you are right now is also part of the story, and where you will be also is part of the story. And part of Karma Yoga is not to give too much burden on yourself to say, I have to get out of this. Part of Karma Yoga is to do what you have to do and trust that God will make sure you gain the knowledge. God will make sure you gain Karma Yoga, all of that. So in this moment, at right now, just be happy with wherever you are and whatever the circumstance and situation is. There's no need to stress yourself. That is Karma Yoga. In its own way, that is Karma Yoga.
I think what Sanjay may have been implying is there are so many more ways these days to generate clutter.
No, I say,
than there were
I don't know whether that's true, whether it's a question of these days. I'm sure in the times of Mahabharata and Ramayana also, there were many ways to generate clutter. They may look different now.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether that's true. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. We are where we are.
Rajiv, to
Well,
your point, no, sorry.
A good example that comes to mind is, when I came to the US, I would call home once a month. Now I can call home 10 times a day. So there's a lot more information flow, which causes a lot of clutter, right? I'm just giving you a simple
Yeah. No,
example.
I understand.
So technology and, moving forward and, forward evolution is that way, there's so much information that you're getting blasted with, right?
Yeah. But see, the real clutter is not the environment around you. The real clutter is in your mind.
Mind. Yeah.
Right? So you can have very little technology and your mind can be full of thoughts. And when we were little children, our technology was less, but we still were cluttered. We had a lot of things going on in our head. We had a lot of aspirations. We had a lot of desires. That's clutter.
Mm-hmm.
So a Karam Yogi is the one who can reduce that clutter. regardless, and on the surface seems very cluttered. He's dealing with all new iPhone techniques, and maybe working on AI also, and maybe doing 100 other things, all of that. But inside the mind, there is peace. So that's the idea of a Karam Yogi.
I think Nidhi had something to say. I'm sorry, Nidhi, I didn't mean
No,
to
no, no,
interrupt
not
you.
at all. I was just going to say, Rajiv, when you brought up earlier that when there is a worry about whatever, or some money thing, insecurity, whatever, that you respond by thinking, is this adding, do I really need it? And I was just going to say that the way I find helpful that I have been doing for myself, I'm just bringing it up, is that I just see, oh, here is a passing thought.
Yeah.
Oh, here, I'm worried, so let me be worried. Like I just try to just say, okay, here is another thought going through my mindscape. And I have found that trying to fight against worry or insecurity for me leads to more and more of it. And it's for me, it seems better to just say, oh yeah, here it is. You come, stay here with me. It's okay, as long as you need to.
That's a good input. Yeah.
We good? Are you guys Indians sleepy yet?
No, isn't our society mainly responsible for cluttering our minds and creating all regulations?
Yeah, I mean, it's a whatever way you want to think about it. You can, if you
I
want to
think
put
so.
blame,
Society has a big role. Agar
I think you are responsible for the clutter in your mind. That's what I think. And if you got to start thinking like that if you want to reduce the clutter, because you're also responsible then for removing it, and you're equipped to remove it. It's got nothing to do with, in my opinion, very little to do with society, with the age we are living in, with everything else. You start focusing on yourself, because you can remove it also just as easily as you put it. You can remove it if your direction is of vision and everything is correct. Vedanta never blames the society for anything. Have you ever seen any? It says there is this Jagat. It draws you towards it, but its focus is not on the society and where the society is and what. That is the focus of every other science. Every article you read about, it talks about how the world is accelerating, change is accelerating. It used to be like what used to take 100 years now takes 1 year, and all of that, the plethora of information, increasing waste, increasing corruption. Vedanta never talks about that. The focus of Vedanta is always on you. On your interaction. The two things, right? There's you, what you call you. There is the Atma. There is the world. The focus of the Vedanta is always the relationship between you and the world, that is Vyavharika, and between you and the Atma, that is Paramarthika. Those are the only two focuses of Vedanta. How you respond to the world and how you consider yourself in relation to the Atma. That's it. So think like that if you want to follow the Vedantic approach.
But I think the value also comes in from the fact that Vedanta clearly helps you understand what is clutter. I mean, if I didn't have the knowledge of Vedanta that I have right now, I think I would still be struggling with, what is a thought, what is a feeling, why do I feel this way, right?
Yeah.
What can I do to not have a feeling, right? So I think that's the power I see is, removing that ignorance of, what these things are.
Well,
And
let me ask you this. Before you started studying Vedanta, how much attention did you pay to
yeah,
yourself,
self,
your
very
thought,
little. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You did not.
yeah.
Now, now you're paying most of the attention to yourself. If you, I mean, of course, when you're working, you have to pay attention to your work. But when you're thinking, there's an entity called myself. That entity and how it reacts with the world and what relation does it have with Atma is the whole focus of Vedanta. I mean, you may not even realize how much you have changed in terms of how you brought the focus of your thoughts from the outside world to inside yourself. And bring it more, pay more attention to how you are responding to the stressors and the clutter outside rather than, what can I do to change the clutter outside? What can I do to change the world? Vedanta says the world is perfect for what it's meant to do. It's meant.
How is it? Sorry,
One second.
please.
Okay, bye. Sorry. What?
A thought had just come to my mind. How is it that thoughts just keep popping up in your mind? I mean, you don't bring them to your mind
No.
consciously. I mean, not
Okay,
willingly or
no,
they
Mukta,
just keep popping up and popping up from
that's a
nowhere.
really, really good question. You know why this question comes to you? Do you ever think, why is it that my body keeps growing? How come I'm not doing anything, but my body keeps growing or getting older, or things keep happening to the physical body? You don't think about it because it's very easy to see the
You
connection,
accepted.
accepted, and to see the connection between your physical body and your environment. You're eating the food, right? And the food gets transformed into your body somehow. Activities are going on, things are going on. It's perceptible, tangible. People have studied it.
Growing up is okay. Why is it degenerating now?
Okay, but you maybe you not be happy with it, but it's happening and you accepted it. But the thing is, we all feel that our thoughts are ours. We have agency on our thoughts, that whatever we are thinking is something to do with our intention. We intended it. We don't think about our body like that. Is it your intention to put on weight? If you did, I don't know whether you did. I do put on weight. I don't think about it as, it happens. But thoughts, no. Somehow. So this is part of understanding the vision of Vedanta, which is that just like there is a physical universe, there is a subtle universe. The thoughts are coming from the subtle universe. You're interacting with the subtle universe just as much as your body is interacting with the physical universe. So don't develop this huge agency with thought. You can't really help what thoughts come into your mind. To some extent you can, just like to some
Yeah.
extent you can help your body also. You can do exercises and lose some weight. But that's what I mean. But diseases come and they go. You can't help it. Similarly, thoughts of different kinds come and go. You can't help it. They're coming from the subtle universe because your thoughts are made of something. You don't know what they're made of. You don't think about it, but they are actually made of something. They have a form. They have, you can distinguish one thought from the other. You can say this is a thought and this is not a thought. That's because they are objects. Now, these objects are made of something. It's that something which is subtle, so you can't see it, you can't feel it, but it's made of something. And where is this material coming from? It's coming from the world around you. of which thoughts are made. If there was in one of the Upanishads, they had this the teacher had to explain this to the student. He said, okay, same question. He said, you go without food for 15 days. So he went without food and he couldn't even think. And like all these thoughts, which are so many to my mind, once he started going without food, first different things happened. So it describes how different changes happen. And then he said, he can't even think. I can't think. I have no memory. I have no thought. Right? And then he gave him food back and he said, what did you learn? He said, food is essential for thought. That's the learning. Thought is just another material. We just have too much association with thought. It's very easy to say, this is my thought. This is me. The kind of food you eat determines the kind of thoughts you have. Did you know that? That is why in our Vedas, they say eat sattvic food. Because sattvic food converts to sattvic thoughts. So, go figure. Like, why do you have these thoughts, Mukta? You're eating the wrong food.
No, I
And you have
was
too
saying
much
what
clutter because
kind of
you're
thoughts.
eating too much food.
Mukta, that was such a nice question to ask. So good.
It just popped up.
Yeah. Why did it pop up? That's another question.
Yeah, you're talking about thoughts and
Yeah.
this thing. So I just
What did you
remembered
have
that.
for dinner, Mukta?
Ha. Nice food.
Nice food.
No, that's why I think this mental health is such an important thing. Now we are beginning to change our attitude because these thoughts are not always in our control. Some, we always used to say, oh, this guy's lazy. Usko juti maro to theek hoga thoda. But he's lazy because of some there's a physiological aspect to that laziness or to that depression or to those continuous thoughts. There's a physical aspect. Drugs can help,
I have an idea for a new startup. Build a thought measuring tool, right? How many thoughts do you get a day?
Then you will be depressed with the idea of how many thoughts you are having.
No, maybe there is a correlation, you start building correlations of number of thoughts, kind of thoughts, just like you're taking temperature, pressure, all the other stuff, right? Maybe some thought medicine.
Yeah. I think we should call it a day on this cheerful note. Yeah, Sanjay,
Yeah.
all good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Bye, guys.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.